Hello, friends. If you're curious about the movie Anna, 2019, you're in the perfect place. Don't forget to give this video a quick like, it really helps us out. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to stay updated on all the latest movie deep dives. Let's jump right in. She's not who you think she is. That's the thrill that pulses through every frame of Anna, a slick, sharp, and twist-laden spy thriller that throws you into a world of beauty, bullets, betrayal, and deception layered so thick, even time itself bends under its weight. At first glance, it's another story of a mysterious woman with a troubled past. But don't let the familiar setup fool you. Anna doesn't just toy with expectations. It shatters them. And just when you think you've got it figured out, it pulls the rug from beneath your feet. Again. And again. And again. Set in the shadowy, double-crossing corridors of the international intelligence world, Anna gives us a protagonist who looks like she stepped out of a fashion magazine. Sleek, poised, stunning, but beneath the surface is a hurricane of trauma, survival instinct, and simmering rage. The film's title might be simple, but don't be fooled. Anna is many things. An orphan. A model. A spy. A killer. A pawn. A queen. And each of those personas peels away another layer of her story, until what's left is something far more dangerous than anyone expected. The story opens not in glamour, but in decay. In late 1980s Moscow, with a society crumbling under the weight of corruption and desperation, Anna is introduced to us in a haze of hopelessness. Living in a run-down apartment with an abusive boyfriend and a bruised soul, she is surviving, barely. That is, until an unexpected opportunity slams into her like a freight train, an offer to become a fashion model. At first, it seems like a lifeline. A chance to escape the rot and reach for something resembling freedom. But freedom, in this world, is always a disguise. Anna is recruited by the KGB. And from that moment, the film kicks into high gear, dragging us through a rabbit hole of espionage, assassination, and power plays orchestrated from smoke-filled offices and behind mirrored glass. Anna is trained not only to kill, but to charm, to seduce, to disappear into roles. Her beauty becomes a weapon. Her mind becomes her shield. And her life becomes a timeline stitched together with secrets. What makes Anna stand out in the crowded field of spy thrillers is how it plays with time. The narrative doesn't move forward. It loops, rewinds, shuffles the deck. Just when you think you've witnessed a betrayal, the film jumps back 6 months to reveal that Anna wasn't being betrayed. She was orchestrating the betrayal. It's a cinematic shell game, and you're never quite sure where the queen lies. Sasha Luss, in her breakout role as Anna, delivers a performance that is equal parts ice and fire. With her model's grace and dead-eyed stillness, she walks through scenes like a phantom. But when she strikes, whether with a blade, a lie, or a gun, it's with breathtaking precision. 1 minute she's sipping champagne in Paris. The next, she's dismantling a room full of armed guards with a fork and a broken champagne bottle. It's not just thrilling. It's revelatory. And the action? This is where director Luc Besson, known for high-octane fare like La Femme Nikita and Lucy, brings his signature blend of style and savagery. Every fight sequence is crafted like a dance, bloody, balletic, brutal. The choreography is slick, but not flashy. There's weight to every punch, every shot fired. Especially in the film's infamous restaurant scene, where Anna is given 5 minutes to eliminate a target and escape. What follows is a hurricane of violence that's as beautifully shot as it is ferociously paced. It's a sequence that doesn't just raise the bar, it obliterates it. But beyond the bullets and bruises, Anna has something more interesting to say. It's a film about control. About agency. About being trapped in systems that promise power but deliver only manipulation. Anna is constantly surrounded by men who think they own her. Handlers, lovers, mentors. But little by little, she twists their expectations into knots. She uses her supposed vulnerability as bait. Her seductiveness as armor. and her intelligence as her true weapon. We meet a slew of characters along the way who each think they've figured Anna out. There's Alex, her handler, who believes he can tame her fire. There's Olga, played with delicious sharpness by Helen Mirren, the tough-as-nails KGB supervisor who sees Anna as a tool to be molded. And then there's Lenny Miller, a CIA operative played with oily charm by Cillian Murphy, who thinks he's pulling strings, but doesn't realize he's already tangled in Anna's web. What makes these dynamics pop isn't just the writing. It's the tension. Every conversation is laced with hidden agendas. Every romantic glance might be a distraction. Every favor could be a trap. You're never sure who's lying, or why, or how long they've been lying. And just when you think you've got your bearings, when the film has trained you to expect the unexpected, it flips the script again. Because Anna isn't just playing a game between the KGB and CIA. She's reinventing the game itself. She's been planning her escape, her freedom, her true identity long before anyone suspected. The ending doesn't come with a showdown. It comes with a quiet, surgical twist that redefines everything that came before. And it's in that final reveal that the film delivers its most devastating message. You never saw Anna coming. Anna isn't perfect. Critics were split. Some found its narrative trickery too frequent. Others felt its stylized violence overshadowed its emotional depth. But for those who looked deeper, for those who allowed themselves to fall into its non-linear labyrinth, the reward was something more than thrills. It was a meditation on the price of freedom, the construction of identity, and the terrifying power of being underestimated. And for audiences, especially those weary of watching women in thrillers reduced to side characters or one-note seductresses, Anna was something different. She was flawed, ruthless, calculated, but she was never less than. She was never outmatched, not because she was stronger, but because she was smarter. She played the game the way men had played it for centuries, and she won. And as the credits roll, as the smoke clears, you don't leave the theater thinking about the explosions or the chase scenes. You think about her eyes. Cold, quiet, calculating. You think about how she walked into a world that wanted to control her and bent it to her will. Not with brute force, but with unrelenting patience. So if you're in the mood for a thriller that doesn't just entertain, but messes with your head, that twists the spy genre into something sleek and subversive, then Anna is the one. It's not just another assassin movie. It's a puzzle box, a trap, a mirror. And by the time you figure out what it really is, she's already gone. Stick around, because we'll be breaking this one down even further in the next chapters. From character layers to behind-the-scenes stories, visual design, themes, and all the cinematic tricks hiding under the surface. There's more to Anna than meets the eye. Much more. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, if it gave you a new way to look at the film or made you curious to rewatch with fresh eyes, then be sure to give this video a like. It helps us more than you know. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got more thrilling explorations and hidden gem dissections coming your way. Until then, remember, sometimes the deadliest thing in the room is the woman you almost overlooked. The beginning of Anna doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't roll out the red carpet or sweep you into a dramatic overture. Instead, it creeps in. Slow, gritty, worn at the edges. The first image is not one of glamour or style. It's survival. A cheap apartment in the crumbling heart of late 1980s Moscow, where the air is thick with resignation and the walls feel like they're listening. The woman at the center of it, Anna Poliatova, is not a storm yet. She's just smoke, quiet, curling, barely noticed. But something in her eyes is already burning. Life, for Anna, is a trap disguised as normalcy. She's with a man who bruises her body and dulls her mind, stuck in a cycle of poverty and fear. There's no future in sight, no dream worth chasing, until a knock on the door arrives like fate in a pressed suit. A man, calm, calculated, persuasive, tells her she's beautiful. too beautiful to be forgotten. He offers her an escape, modeling, Paris, money, a new name. It feels like a fantasy, cheap and shiny, but Anna grabs it with both hands. Because even illusions are better than cages. And so she leaves. Just like that, she's in Paris. The shift is jarring. One day she's selling matryoshka dolls in a rundown stall, and the next she's draped in haute couture under soft lights, taught to walk like she owns the earth. She becomes a face, an image, a brand. But the world she's entered, fashion, with its glossy lies and sharp smiles, isn't freedom. It's just a prettier kind of control. The stakes are different, but the game feels the same. Except Anna didn't come all this way to play someone else's game. This is where the film starts its first sleight of hand. We're told that Anna is a model. We see the photo shoots, the runway strut, the press attention. But something's off. A glance exchanged here. A strange silence after a phone call. A moment where she hesitates just before a camera clicks. And then, without warning, the film shifts. Backward. To another moment. A different version of Anna. One where the modeling offer wasn't just fashion, it was recruitment. Enter the KGB. Specifically, Olga, played with exquisite menace and wry detachment by Helen Mirren. She's not a handler in the traditional sense. She's a puppeteer with no illusions about the morality of what she does. She tells Anna the rules coldly. 5 years of service, no refusal, no mistakes. In return, freedom. A new life after the blood has dried. Anna agrees. What follows is training. Brutal. Efficient. No montages. No inspirational speeches. Just cold instruction and consequences. Anna learns to shoot, to kill, to disappear. She's taught that seduction is as sharp a weapon as a blade, and that fear must be folded and buried until it becomes instinct. We watch her transform not into a killer, but into a chameleon. Because this isn't about brute strength. It's about precision. Back in Paris, Anna's double life begins in earnest. By day, she models. By night, she kills. Her targets are chosen by the KGB, corrupt politicians, rogue agents, inconvenient voices. Each mission is a test, and each success earns her another inch of autonomy. But freedom remains a promise just out of reach. And then, the CIA enters the story. Specifically, Lenny Miller. Cool, charming, a little too observant. Played by Cillian Murphy with that signature blend of vulnerability and quiet steel. He approaches Anna under the guise of flirtation, a casual seduction. But beneath the surface, both of them are trying to read the other. Who's the real threat? Who knows what? Who is using whom? This encounter is no accident. The CIA has been watching. They know something's off. But Lenny doesn't realize just how deep Anna's game goes. Because she's not just playing both sides, she's writing her own rules. Every smile is a calculation. Every kiss, a question. She's not falling into a trap. She's laying one. And then comes the restaurant. One of the film's most stunning sequences. A target. A time limit. 5 minutes to kill a man surrounded by guards and escape. What unfolds is a symphony of chaos. Anna uses everything. Silverware, broken glass, even the bodies of the men she takes down, as tools. It's not just a fight scene. It's choreography. Beautiful, violent, exact. By the time it's over, Anna has left behind more than bodies. She's left a message. Don't underestimate me. The success earns her praise from Olga. But the cracks are starting to show. Anna is tired. Not of killing, but of being used. She begins to ask questions. When will it end? When will 5 years be enough? Olga's answers are vague, evasive. And Anna knows, in her gut, that promises made in blood are rarely honored. That's when she makes a decision. Not to run. Not yet, but to build something. A third path. One only she can walk. She begins to manipulate the chessboard. She plants seeds with Lenny. Suggests loyalty. Flirts with treason. At the same time, she maintains her cover with the KGB. She plays obedient. Useful. Invisible. But inside, she's calculating her escape, an escape from both systems. From the illusion of freedom they dangle like keys in front of a prisoner. The film continues to loop, revealing past moments we thought we understood, now shown through a different lens. A meeting with Alex, her original handler and former lover, now recontextualized as heartbreak. A missed phone call, now understood to be a coded message. A look in the mirror that once seemed hollow, now laced with quiet rage. By the time the film reaches its midpoint, Anna has become something else entirely. Not a spy. Not a pawn. Not even a survivor. She's a strategist. And she's just getting started. There's a moment, quiet, precise, when you realize the game has changed. Not with a shot fired or a name whispered, but with a look. The look Anna gives her reflection, alone in a bathroom after yet another carefully orchestrated kill. Not haunted. Not proud. Just tired. It's not the look of a woman unraveling. It's the look of someone who's finished waiting. Someone who has spent years surviving inside a cage built by others and has finally decided to burn the hinges. That's where the pulse of the story shifts. That's where Anna stops playing the game and starts rewriting it. From here, the film doubles down on its layered timeline, revealing what was really happening behind every look, every meeting, every supposed alliance. We go back to a scene we thought we understood. Anna and Lenny, the CIA officer, flirting under the warm Parisian sun. But now, we see the coded exchange beneath the charm. The way Anna slipped him just enough truth to bait him, to earn his trust, without giving up control. She wasn't falling for him. She was testing him. And he never saw it. Because now Anna is doing what every intelligence agency fears most. She's making a choice of her own. Not to defect. Not to betray. But to liberate herself completely. To become something neither the KGB nor the CIA has a file for. It's no longer enough to be the best asset. She wants out. And she's going to make them both give it to her. But freedom has a price. Anna offers the CIA a trade, access to a high-level Russian official in exchange for a clean exit. A new life. Somewhere they won't find her. It's a long shot. Lenny doesn't know whether to trust her, but he's also drawn to her in ways he can't untangle. Professional curiosity, maybe. Maybe something else. Either way, he agrees. Or so it seems. Meanwhile, Olga, her KGB superior, begins to sense something is shifting. Helen Mirren plays her like a wolf, too old for games, too sharp to be fooled, but too patient to strike without certainty. She watches Anna from a distance. Sees the way her timing is just a little too perfect. The way her kills are too clean. She knows something's coming. And she's not wrong. The tension becomes unbearable. Anna is now running 3 lives at once. Model, assassin, double agent. And all of them are closing in. The walls don't collapse. They narrow. She meets with Lenny in hotel rooms, whispering strategies. Then returns to Olga for mission briefings. All while slipping through fashion shows like a ghost in high heels. But the pressure's building, and Anna knows she only has one chance to pull off what she's planning. Her ultimate play? To fake her own death. But to get there, she needs both the CIA and KGB to believe they're winning. She gives Olga a list of CIA operations. Offers up Lenny's secrets as proof of loyalty. Olga doesn't trust her, not fully, but she's intrigued. Anna's usefulness outweighs her suspicion, for now. And then she turns to Lenny, feeding him details of a KGB arms deal. Enough to launch a raid, make headlines. It's convincing. Too convincing. And it's meant to be. Because while they chase shadows, Anna is setting the stage. The plan is brutal in its simplicity. A final mission. One last kill. A CIA-sanctioned assassination, fed through Lenny. But the target isn't who it seems. Anna uses the mission to vanish, leaving behind a bloody trail, a fake body, a clean set of fingerprints. For the world, Anna is dead. Another agent burned by the game. But not for Olga. She watches the footage. Studies the inconsistencies. She knows. Which leads us to the confrontation the entire film has been building toward. Olga and Anna. No weapons. No chase. Just two women in a park, sitting across from each other like old friends. Anna, reborn. Olga, still in uniform. They don't argue. They don't lie. They just negotiate. Anna offers the only thing Olga has ever cared about. Control. She says, "You can tell them I'm dead. You get to close my file. No loose ends. And I get to live. That's a fair trade." And Olga, after a pause that lasts longer than it should, agrees. Because she knows Anna won. Not with violence. Not with seduction. But with patience. With strategy. With something colder than vengeance and stronger than loyalty. Clarity. It's not the kind of ending that explodes. It lands like a sigh. Anna walks away. Not into the sunset, but into a world that no longer owns her. Her face disappears into the crowd. And for the first time in the film, there is no plan behind her eyes. Just peace. Or maybe, possibility. And you, the viewer, sit there wondering how it all happened. How you missed the signs. How every twist was seeded long before it revealed itself. And then you realize, that's the point. Anna wasn't just ahead of the characters. She was ahead of you. She always was. Some characters are written to be understood. Others are written to be studied. Anna Poliatova, the shape-shifting storm at the center of Anna, 2019, belongs to the latter. She isn't designed for your sympathy. She isn't begging to be liked. She's carved from mystery, sculpted from pain, and wrapped in a calm so chilling it becomes its own kind of performance. To analyze Anna is to pick through a mirror maze. Every reflection shows something different, and yet every path circles back to the same truth. She is a woman born into a world that taught her to survive by vanishing, and she chose instead to survive by watching. At first glance, Anna's appeal is surface deep. That's intentional. We meet her as a face, a frame, a commodity wrapped in high fashion and thin smiles. She is a model, poised and perfect, a product of beauty in a world that consumes it like currency. But from the moment we see her eyes, not just glancing, but calculating, we know we're dealing with something else. Beneath the lipstick and couture is someone who does not exist for your admiration. She exists because she knows how to play you. That's the foundation of Anna's character, performance as protection. Her entire life is a role, scripted by those who believe they control her. The KGB, the CIA, the men who call themselves her handlers, the men who believe their affection or attention is some kind of ownership. They train her, guide her, mold her. But all the while, Anna is writing a separate script underneath theirs, one that none of them see coming. And the brilliance of her characterization lies in this duality. There's the Anna that they see, silent, compliant, deadly. And then there's the Anna we begin to understand, resistant, resilient, devastatingly strategic. This is a woman who's been surviving long before the first trigger she pulled. Surviving a broken home. An abusive relationship. A decaying Russia where dreams are dust and power is traded behind closed doors. When the KGB comes offering a way out, it's not salvation. It's a different kind of prison. And Anna accepts it, not because she trusts them, but because she knows how to use them. In many ways, Anna is a ghost even to herself. She's had to shed so many versions of who she was just to stay alive. Her true identity isn't something we're handed on a plate. It's something we catch glimpses of in brief, unguarded moments. The twitch in her jaw after a kill, the flicker of grief when she looks at her own reflection too long, the breath she holds when she's forced to smile through pain. These fragments build a portrait far more intimate than any confession ever could. Sasha Luss delivers this complexity with restraint that borders on haunting. She doesn't telegraph emotion. She doesn't act for the audience. She internalizes. It's in her stillness that we see the chaos. And it's in her silence that we hear her most clearly. Opposite Anna stand the people who try, and fail, to define her. There's Olga, her handler at the KGB, played with razor precision by Helen Mirren. Olga is a fascinating character in her own right, pragmatic, merciless, and yet not without a kind of twisted maternal instinct. She sees potential in Anna not because of her loyalty, but because of her usefulness. And what makes their dynamic so compelling is how they mirror each other. Both are women in systems run by men. Both are underestimated. Both know how to survive by being smarter than the room. And in some ways, Olga respects Anna more than anyone else. She doesn't trust her, but she understands her. Their relationship is not one of mentor and student. It's more complicated, more dangerous. It's a game of chess where both know the endgame is betrayal, but neither flinches. And in the final scenes, when Anna negotiates her freedom not with tears or pleas but with cold, strategic leverage, it's Olga who ultimately lets her go. Not out of sentiment, but out of respect. Then there's Lenny Miller, the CIA operative who thinks he's seen it all. Cillian Murphy plays Lenny with just enough warmth to make us question his motives, and just enough control to remind us he's not there to fall in love. He's there to win. At least, at first. What Lenny doesn't expect is how thoroughly Anna has mapped him from the start. He approaches her like a hunter. But it becomes clear, scene by scene, that he's wandered into a snare. Anna manipulates his interest, his ego, and even his empathy with such surgical precision that by the time Lenny realizes what's happened, he's already compromised. Yet Lenny isn't a fool. He's sharp, emotionally layered, and his scenes with Anna aren't just romantic diversions. They're power struggles disguised as chemistry. He wants to believe he sees the real her. That he's the exception. But like so many men in Anna's life, he's simply another lens through which she's forced to pass. And once he's served his purpose, she moves on, not cruelly, but necessarily. And then there's Alex, Anna's first handler, her first lover, possibly her first genuine heartbreak. Their connection is one of the few that feels real, rooted in mutual damage, in longing, in the naive belief that they could escape the machinery together. But Alex, like everyone else, ultimately fails to see the full scope of who Anna is. He thinks she can be saved. That love is enough. And that, more than anything, proves he never truly understood her. Because Anna isn't looking to be saved. She's looking to be free. Freedom is Anna's true pursuit. Not power. Not revenge. Not even survival. She wants to exist on her own terms, in her own name, without being someone else's tool. And that makes her perhaps one of the most quietly radical characters in the genre. Female assassins are often written as femme fatale or broken weapons. Anna is neither. She is not killing because she loves it. She is not seeking vengeance. She is navigating a world that gave her no choices and carving her own way out of it, one calculated move at a time. What makes her journey so fascinating is that we, the audience, are never quite ahead of her. We spend the film trying to catch up, to decode her choices, to understand her motivations. And when the final reveal comes, when the entire web of lies and reversals is laid bare, it's not just the characters in the film who are stunned. We are. Because Anna didn't just fool them. She fooled us. With poise. with timing, with brilliance. And yet, through it all, there remains something tragically human about her. Anna isn't without feeling. She isn't emotionless. She simply can't afford to show it. The rare flashes of vulnerability, her hand trembling after a kill, the quiet panic in her eyes before a mission, the silence she sinks into after a betrayal, these are the moments where the facade slips. Not for long, but just long enough for us to remember, she didn't choose this life. She mastered it because she had to. Even the film's structure reflects Anna's complexity. The non-linear timeline isn't just a gimmick, it's a reflection of how Anna herself thinks. In fragments. In cover stories. In misdirection. We're constantly being led down one path, only to discover she's already doubled back and changed the rules. The structure is her mind. The reversals, her strategy. And as the final credits roll, we don't end with resolution. We end with space. Anna walking away, unclaimed, undefined. No longer a pawn. No longer a product. Just a woman who survived the impossible by becoming unseeable, and then choosing, finally, to be seen on her own terms. In the end, what Anna gives us is not just a spy thriller or a tale of revenge. It gives us a character study wrapped in shadows and sharpened by fire. A woman who became dangerous not because she wanted to be, but because no one gave her another choice. And when she finally takes that choice for herself, it's not an explosion. It's an exhale. Cold. Quiet. Unmistakably hers. Some films are surrounded by mystery on screen, and some carry that same mystery behind the camera. Anna, 2019, is a film of secrets, twisting timelines, double lives, silent betrayals. But what most people don't realize is that its creation was just as layered, just as unpredictable, and in many ways, even stranger than the story it tells. You see, this wasn't just a sleek Luc Besson thriller with a beautiful cast and balletic violence. It was a production where coincidences mirrored fiction, where accidents became art, and where certain things, small, quiet things, refused to be explained. Let's begin with Sasha Luss. A fashion model turned actress, this was her first major role in a feature film. Casting her as Anna wasn't just unconventional, it was downright risky. She had no formal training, no acting pedigree, no long list of credits. But Besson wasn't looking for a traditional lead. He was looking for presence. And Sasha had that in spades. Her real-life background as a model, paired with her icy control and fierce work ethic, became the foundation of Anna's character. But what makes it stranger is how closely her off-screen path mirrored her on-screen one. Before the film ever entered production, Sasha had once walked in a high-profile Paris runway show where she wore a red leather trench coat, eerily similar to the one Anna wears in her final scenes. A photo from that show became one of the visual inspirations for Anna's costume design. But here's the strange part, that runway was 3 years before she was ever cast. Somehow, her past had predicted her future. Another oddity came during training. Sasha trained with Russian Special Forces veterans to prepare for the role, studying hand-to-hand combat, firearms, and tactical evasion. During one intense session, she accidentally broke the nose of her instructor. Rather than being reprimanded, she was congratulated by the same man she hit. "That's exactly what Anna would do," he said, laughing through a towel soaked in blood. The take-no-prisoners attitude stuck. From that moment on, Sasha was no longer treated like a rookie actress. She was treated like a weapon. But she wasn't the only one. Helen Mirren, the legendary Oscar-winning actress playing Olga, had an unusual request when she signed on. She didn't want to stand in for rehearsal. She insisted on watching every stunt Sasha performed, even the ones that weren't hers, so she could understand Anna's physicality better. She would sit behind the camera during fight scenes, sipping coffee and scribbling notes. She called it studying the future, a phrase that made its way into one of her improvised lines on set. "You think I don't see the future?" Olga growls in one scene. That wasn't in the script. That was Helen. And then there was the editing room. The film's non-linear structure wasn't part of the original plan. The first cut of Anna was a straightforward chronological story. No time jumps. No rewinds. But test audiences found it too linear, too clean. Besson, inspired by the narrative confusion of Memento and The Usual Suspects, took a bold risk. He and his editor restructured the entire film over a single weekend. They locked themselves in an editing bay in Paris, surrounded by post-it notes and espresso shots, and reassembled the film like a puzzle. The new version was a completely different animal. Tense, fractured, unpredictable. And it worked. But there was a catch. Some of the new scenes, recontextualized in the timeline, accidentally revealed plot holes. Instead of reshooting, the editor used mirror shots, off-screen audio, and blinking transitions to cover them. You'd never notice unless you were looking for it, but two key conversations were stitched together from completely different days of filming. One even features Sasha wearing different earrings from shot to shot. A continuity error masked by shadow and clever editing. Speaking of shadows, the lighting on Anna was a world of its own. Much of the film's signature look comes from its unconventional use of ambient lighting, especially in scenes involving reflections. Besson and his cinematographer Thierry Arbogast used real mirrors, not green screens, to create disorienting, multi-layered frames. But this caused constant issues with crew visibility. To fix this, the camera team wore all black, including ski masks, and crouched behind set pieces, shooting through custom-made one-way glass panels. In one scene, during a tense conversation between Anna and Olga, there's a reflection of a man watching them from a nearby window. He appears only for a second. Fans have speculated endlessly about who it was. An extra? A mistake? An Easter egg? The crew later confirmed the man was not part of the scene, and no one could identify him. Some even believed it was a reflection from another building entirely. The mystery remains unsolved. And then there's the restaurant fight. Arguably the most famous scene in the movie, it took 5 days to film and over 4 months of preparation. The original choreography was designed for a different location, but when the crew arrived to scout the set, they discovered the layout had been changed. Half the tables had been removed. The new setup created narrower pathways, tighter corners, and fewer places to hide. Sasha had to relearn her movement overnight. But the real surprise came when a stunt went wrong, intentionally. During the scene, Anna uses a butter knife to defend herself against a gunman. The knife was supposed to be a rubber prop, but someone accidentally handed Sasha a real one. She didn't flinch. The entire take continued as planned, until blood appeared. She had cut the actor's arm slightly in the scuffle. He didn't even feel it. When they reviewed the footage later, the take was so raw, so electric, that it was kept in the final cut. The moment where Anna gasps and wipes her hand on the tablecloth? Real. But perhaps the strangest fact of all has nothing to do with the stunts or the script. It has to do with a deleted scene, a moment near the end of the film that was removed just days before the premiere. In it, Anna returns to her old Moscow apartment, now abandoned and crumbling. She stands in silence, staring at the window where she once watched the rain fall. The scene was emotional, heavy with memory. But it slowed the film's pacing, so it was cut. What's strange is that during filming, they discovered that the apartment, once used as a real location for earlier scenes, had been destroyed in a fire 2 weeks before they returned to it. And yet, somehow, one wall remained standing. The wall with Anna's window. They filmed it anyway, with the ashes and soot framing her silhouette. The footage exists. It's never been released. But for those who saw it in rough-cut previews, they remember it not as a scene, but as a goodbye to the version of Anna that died long before the world ever saw her fight. Other bits of trivia swirl around the film like fog. Like the fact that Sasha and Cillian Murphy never rehearsed their first scene together, intentionally. Besson wanted their chemistry to feel off-balance, unpredictable. so he introduced them on set as the cameras were rolling. The tension between them? Authentic. Or that one of the most elaborate sets, the CIA interrogation chamber, was built in a soundstage with no exits. Literally. The set was so meticulously designed that the only way in or out was to climb over one of the walls. The actors and crew had to pass equipment over the top and crawl in each morning. The claustrophobia? Also real. Even the soundtrack has its own secrets. The main theme, composed by Eric Serra, uses an old Russian lullaby layered with reversed whispers, actual lines from the script played backward. Fans who slowed it down discovered hidden messages. One of them? "You were never watching me. I was watching you." And isn't that the perfect summary of Anna? A film about the illusion of control. A woman who moves like a phantom through systems built to consume her and turns them inside out. And a production filled with strange reflections, blurred truths, and eerie coincidences that make you wonder if maybe, just maybe, Anna wasn't just a character. Maybe she was always one step ahead, even of the people who created her. Some films ask you to watch. Others challenge you to pay attention. But Anna, with its fractured timeline, smoke-layered narrative, and calculated detachment, does something else entirely. It dares you to reconsider every event, every glance, every line. Because nothing in this story happens by accident. And once the truth reveals itself, every earlier moment becomes something new. That's why critics, no matter how divided in tone or final score, couldn't stop talking about it. Not because Anna was flawless, but because it refused to play fair. It offered a familiar game, the spy thriller, and then quietly changed the rules while you weren't looking. To fully understand the critical perspective surrounding Anna, you have to start with the structure. The film doesn't unravel chronologically. Instead, it loops. It folds in on itself. Time bends around memory, and memory bends around motive. One of the most frequently cited events in critical discussion is the restaurant assassination sequence. Not just for its choreography, which is tight, brutal, and ferociously beautiful, but for what it represents in narrative structure. We see Anna receive the assignment. We see her execute it, methodically. But later, we return to that moment. And we learn the truth. She didn't just kill the target. She used the event to test her handlers, to see who was watching and who was lying. What once felt like a set-piece action scene is recontextualized as a turning point in Anna's psychological chess game. Critics noted this moment as the first time the viewer understands that Anna isn't just reacting to the plot, she's directing it. It's a trick Anna pulls again and again. Another such moment, dissected in almost every review, is her interaction with Lenny Miller, Cillian Murphy's quietly observant CIA operative. Their early scenes play like a slow burn. Flirtation, control, mutual probing. But the scene that truly ignites critical discussion comes later, when Anna appears to confess everything. She spills her secrets to Lenny in a hotel room, laying bare her double life and the danger she's in. Their early scenes play like a slow burn. Flirtation, control, mutual probing. But the scene that truly ignites critical discussion comes later, when Anna appears to confess everything. She spills her secrets to Lenny in a hotel room, laying bare her double life and the danger she's in. And for a moment, we believe her. We believe the vulnerability. The breaking point. Until the film rewinds. Until we see that confession was another mask. Not a lie, exactly. But a version of the truth told for a specific purpose. To secure leverage, to manipulate sympathy. It's a scene that's both brilliant and chilling. Critics were split. Some hailed it as a masterstroke in storytelling, a moment where vulnerability itself is weaponized. Others criticized it for emotional detachment, arguing that the film never truly lets the audience into Anna's inner life. But perhaps that's the point. Because Anna isn't a character meant to be understood in a single scene or a single viewing. She is layered, not just by design, but by necessity. And every major event in the story, every mission, every seduction, every betrayal, feeds into the central theme, identity as a form of control. Critics who praised the film often returned to this idea. That Anna is less about action and more about authorship. Who gets to write your story? Who gets to own your image? And what does it cost to take that power back? The scene where Anna negotiates her freedom from the KGB is perhaps the film's most quietly radical event. There are no guns drawn, no explosions, just a conversation in a park between Anna and Olga, two women who understand each other better than any man ever could. Critics called it a subversion of the genre's climax, and they were right. We expect a final shootout, a betrayal, a desperate escape. What we get instead is strategy, respect, and power shifting not through violence, but through precision. Helen Mirren's performance as Olga was particularly praised in this sequence. With little more than a stare and a cigarette, she conveys the full weight of institutional control, and the moment she lets Anna go, critics noted, isn't weakness. It's recognition. Olga sees that Anna has done something few ever do. She's beaten the system at its own game. And rather than resist it, Olga honors it. This scene resonated deeply with critics who saw the film as a commentary on female agency in male-dominated spaces. Throughout the story, Anna is surrounded by men who believe they are in control. Alex, her KGB handler and lover, believes he knows her heart. Lenny believes he's her savior. Even the fashion industry, with its photographers and casting agents, wants to shape her. But every event in the story, every reveal, every twist, proves them wrong. Anna is not the subject. She is the author. Another moment that drew critical attention was Anna's use of seduction, not as manipulation, but as mimicry. In one scene, she's in bed with a Marc, smiling, tracing her fingers along his chest. He believes he's in control. But then the scene cuts to her in the same pose with another man. The repetition is jarring. Critics called this a brilliant visual echo, showing how Anna has learned to replicate the desires of others while withholding her own. It's not about desire. It's about survival. About knowing exactly what version of herself someone wants to see, and then weaponizing it. There was also much discussion around the emotional impact of Anna's loneliness. Despite the film's glossy exterior, its slick fights and sharp suits, there is a deep, quiet ache running beneath it all. Anna moves through her life like a ghost. Never rooted. Never known. She is always performing. Always adjusting. And critics who looked past the film's surface found a story not of thrills, but of exhaustion. What does it cost to live like that? To never be real with anyone? To never stop pretending? That question reaches its emotional peak in the scene where Anna returns to her old Moscow apartment. It's almost wordless. Just her, alone, standing in a room that used to be her cage. She looks around, not with nostalgia, but with detachment. She's already become someone else. And yet, a trace of something lingers. Memory, maybe. Or grief for the girl she used to be. Critics noted this as one of the film's most powerful moments, precisely because it doesn't explain itself. It trusts the viewer to feel the weight of what Anna can't say. That she has won her freedom. But she's lost something too. Something quiet and human. The right to be vulnerable. Some critics weren't kind. They called the film cold, overly stylized, emotionally vacant. But even among negative reviews, there was a reluctant admiration for the film's structure, its ambition. One reviewer wrote, "Anna may not touch your heart, but it will absolutely rearrange your expectations." And that, perhaps, is where the film's true impact lies. It doesn't want your tears. It wants your attention. It wants you to realize that every major event, the restaurant fight, the CIA sting, the final negotiation, is part of a larger pattern. A dance. A rebellion. Against systems. Against men. against the idea that a beautiful woman in a spy thriller must be a victim or a villain. Anna is neither. She is the story. And when the final scene plays, her silhouette walking away, nameless in a world that tried to name her, you realize the film isn't about what happened to her. It's about what she chose to leave behind. And maybe that's why Anna continues to be dissected, debated, and quietly admired. Because for all its gunfire and glass-shattering spectacle, its greatest twist wasn't about espionage. It was about emancipation. Some films feel like they were storyboarded in a boardroom, built from numbers, smoothed into formulas. And then there are films like Anna, where everything seems to grow from a single electric spark. Where the script is more a living document than a locked Bible, and every corner of production breathes with improvisation, urgency, and intuition. Behind the sleek sheen of its espionage story and the razor-edged symmetry of its action, Anna was crafted in a world where coincidence often blurred into fate, where mistakes became miracles, and where every glossy frame was backed by a whirlwind of creative decisions, last-minute pivots, and on-the-fly brilliance. From the very beginning, Luc Besson had a clear idea of the kind of film Anna should be. Not just a stylish spy thriller, but something colder, sleeker, and more fractured than anything he had done before. He wanted to strip away sentimentality, to show the weaponization of beauty and intelligence in a world that turns both into currency. But instead of casting a traditional actress in the title role, he did something riskier. He found someone who hadn't been shaped by Hollywood. Someone with no pre-programmed beats or technique. Someone who could walk into a room and be both the predator and the prey without saying a word. That someone was Sasha Luss. Originally a high-fashion model known for her ethereal looks and cool detachment, Sasha had never carried a film before. She had barely even acted. But there was something about her energy, blank canvas one moment, unblinking ice the next, that made her perfect for the role. The decision raised eyebrows. A model as the lead in a high-stakes thriller? But Besson wasn't looking for a polished performance. He was looking for presence. For silence that could scream. And Sasha gave him that, take after take. Training her, though, was no small task. Sasha was thrown into a grueling 3-month boot camp, training in judo, Krav Maga, and firearms with ex-Special Forces operatives. She learned how to fall, strike, disarm, and shoot with deadly realism. But what surprised the trainers wasn't her technique, it was her mindset. She didn't flinch, one stunt coordinator recalled. Not once. She took every hit, repeated every move, and never broke character, even during rehearsals. Her first stunt day was the infamous restaurant massacre. It was one of the most logistically complicated scenes in the film, and it was shot almost entirely in sequence. The idea was to build momentum, not just physically, but emotionally, so that the audience would feel the exhaustion, the chaos, the sheer ferocity of what Anna was capable of. Every dish that smashed, every chair that shattered, every body that hit the floor was part of a tightly choreographed dance, one that Sasha performed without a stunt double for over 80% of the sequence. On day 2 of filming that scene, Sasha cracked 2 ribs. Not from a punch or a fall, but from diving over a table and landing just slightly off Marc. She didn't say a word until the day was done. Only when she tried to laugh during dinner did she realize something was wrong. The production paused for less than 48 hours. Then she was back on set. "She's terrifying," Besson said, only half joking. In the best way. But Sasha wasn't the only one making bold choices. Helen Mirren, cast as the formidable KGB operative Olga, insisted on shaping her character from the inside out. She based Olga on several real women she had researched, intelligence operatives from the Cold War who were known for their steel trap minds and ruthless loyalty. Mirren requested to keep her natural hair for the role, opting for a short, blunt gray wig and thick glasses. She wanted Olga to look like someone you'd underestimate in a crowd, and regret it instantly. She also asked that her office be dressed with real Soviet artifacts, typewriters, medals, a war-era samovar. The production designer sourced items from Russian antique markets, and Mirren personally rearranged the set the night before filming her first scene. She said she wanted the room to feel like an interrogation before a single word was spoken, the set decorator remembered. The dynamic between Mirren and Sasha off-camera was something to behold. Despite their completely different backgrounds, the two developed a mentor-mentee rapport that mirrored their characters in unexpected ways. They rehearsed together often, usually in quiet corners of the set, with Mirren offering small, whispered notes on breath, posture, and presence. "Don't act. Just decide," she told Sasha during a pivotal scene. "You're already more interesting than most people trying to be." And then there was Cillian Murphy, ever the enigma. Cast as CIA agent Lenny Miller, Murphy brought his trademark intensity and subtlety to every scene. But behind the camera, he was disarmingly playful. Known for staying in character between takes on other films, here he did the opposite, frequently breaking the tension with dry humor and behind-the-scenes photos, some of which he later gifted to the crew in a custom scrapbook at Wrap. There's a photo little known outside the production, of Murphy and Mirren sitting in their full costumes, sunglasses on, flipping through a spy novel between takes. It was captioned, "Retired and Dangerous." It became something of a joke on set, and the phrase was almost written into the film's final scene before being cut in the last draft of the script. Visually, the film leaned hard into high-contrast textures, smooth surfaces, reflective glass, cold metallics. The cinematographer, Cherry Arbogast, shot most scenes using modified anamorphic lenses that created subtle flares and blurs around the edges of the frame. "We wanted it to feel like you were spying from behind a window that had just fogged up," he explained. "Like you never had the full picture." Color grading played a huge role in storytelling. Every time Anna was under control, by the KGB, by the CIA, by her handlers, the color palette leaned toward cold blues and grays. But in moments where she took power back, even in small ways, the tones shifted. Warm lights, deeper shadows, a subtle red thread that crept through key scenes, in curtains, in dresses, in the background of a mirror, hinting at her growing autonomy. It was a visual language hidden in plain sight. One detail almost no one noticed? The final sequence, Anna walking away into a crowd, free at last, was filmed with a hidden camera. They shot it guerrilla style on the streets of Prague. No extras. No permits. Sasha wore a hidden earpiece, and the cameraman followed from a distance, adjusting focus in real time. That blank look of disassociation as she disappears into the crowd? That wasn't performance. That was her navigating real strangers, none of whom knew they were part of a movie. The production wasn't without its complications. Midway through shooting, one of the main locations, a brutalist hotel meant to serve as a CIA safe house, was abruptly shut down due to water damage. Rather than delay filming, the crew repurposed a nearby abandoned government building in a matter of 48 hours. They installed lighting rigs, recreated the furniture layout, and filmed the entire sequence in just 2 nights. It ended up looking even better on camera, thanks to the aged texture of the real walls and the organic decay no set could replicate. Even the soundtrack carried secrets. Composer Eric Serra embedded fragments of Morse code into several of the background tracks. Actual snippets from KGB and CIA transmissions from the 1980s, distorted and layered under strings and synths. They weren't meant to be heard. They were meant to be felt. One fan who reverse-engineered the audio found a coded message in one cue: "Trust no face. Not even your own." And the camera treats her the same way. It rarely settles. Instead, it glides, circles, watches from across the room. You feel it breathing with her, tightening when she's trapped, opening when she seizes control. It's not showy. It's intimate. In several key scenes, the camera will refuse to cut even during moments of high tension. It forces you to sit in the discomfort, to feel what Anna feels, not as spectacle, but as presence. Lighting also plays a huge role in shaping the film's atmosphere. In Russia, the lighting is stark and unforgiving. Natural light is pale. Artificial light buzzes like it's dying. There's no comfort in it. But as the film shifts to other cities, Paris, Milan, even Berlin, the lighting changes. Warmer. Softer. But never quite safe. It's a reminder that comfort in Anna's world is always conditional. In one scene, she sits in a bathtub, drenched in golden light, her face serene. But the background music buzzes. The shadows creep. The piece isn't real. It's camouflage. Color grading adds another layer of mood. The palette shifts subtly throughout the film. Blue and silver dominate Anna's early life, symbols of cold, control, submission. As she gains agency, warmer tones seep in. Earthy reds. Soft ambers. But the final act returns to neutrality. Clean, muted colors. A visual suggestion that Anna is no longer performing extremes. She's finally balancing herself. Becoming someone she can live with. Even the film's use of silence is powerful. In most spy thrillers, tension comes from noise, gunshots, alarms, ticking clocks. But Anna finds its sharpest moments in quiet. A door closing. The click of a lighter. A breath held just too long. In one sequence, Anna enters a room filled with people she may have to kill. The sound drops. All we hear is the hum of the air conditioning. That choice, that restraint, pulls you to the edge of your seat. You're not waiting for action. You're waiting for intention. And when action does explode, it's violent but never chaotic. The choreography is precise, framed in wide shots that let you feel the impact. Cuts are minimal. The camera doesn't flinch. It watches. Just like us. It's all part of the visual strategy, to make us complicit. We're not just observers. We're voyeurs. By the time the film ends, and Anna walks into a crowd, vanishing into the ordinary, the setting has spoken more than the dialogue ever could. She's in an unnamed city now. A park. Trees. People. Noise. For the first time, the camera doesn't follow. It lets her go. It watches from a distance. And then it turns away. Because the story, visually, is complete. And that's what makes Anna such a stunning exercise in cinematic language. It doesn't just tell a story. It frames one. Controls one. Molds every setting and shadow into a reflection of its main character, a woman weaponized by systems, sculpted by violence, and reborn through control. Every hallway, every mirror, every flicker of light. It all tells us the same thing. Anna was never just in the world. She was rewriting it. One room at a time. Some movies are forged in chaos, with cameras flying, tempers flaring, and production notes buried under rewrites. Others move like clockwork, scheduled, synchronized, clinical. But Anna existed in a strange space between. Its story was icy, surgical, wrapped in control. But behind the scenes? It pulsed with a quiet intensity. It lived in moments that no one planned. Small accidents. Inside jokes. Long silences on set that held more weight than the loudest dialogue. And what emerged wasn't just a thriller. It was a strange, secretive family built under cold lights, across continents, and through scenes that cut too close to the bone. Luc Besson, the director known for creating fiercely stylized worlds where women are just as dangerous as they are complicated, had a vision for Anna from the start. But this time, he didn't want a star. He didn't want a name. He wanted someone the audience wouldn't expect. So when he found Sasha Luss, a model with piercing eyes and barely any acting experience, he didn't hesitate. She didn't act the role, he once said in an interview. She wore it like skin. From the first table read, the energy on set shifted. Sasha was quiet, precise, often found sitting alone off-camera reviewing notes or rehearsing fight choreography in her head. She approached the character of Anna with methodical calm. She wasn't trying to impress the cast or charm the crew. She was studying the role, absorbing it, letting it seep into her posture and silence. The crew began referring to her as the Phantom, because she moved so silently between takes that sometimes no one noticed she was already standing in position, ready to shoot. But there were surprises too. Despite her poised demeanor, Sasha had a wicked sense of humor. During long shooting days, especially on the Paris sets, she'd pull pranks, tiny, absurd ones. She once replaced every sugar packet on the craft service table with salt. No one noticed until Cillian Murphy's coffee took on a strange, face-contorting flavor mid-scene. "It was like drinking betrayal," he laughed later. But the prank became legend. From that day on, the crew called bad coffee Anna Blend. Cillian Murphy himself was a mystery on set. Intensely focused when filming, he'd often stay in character between takes, keeping his distance from others. But when the cameras weren't rolling, he transformed. Dryly funny, gracious, and deeply curious about every part of the filmmaking process. He was known for asking the lighting team questions between scenes, often stepping behind the camera to see how the light shifted on a lens flare or what filters were being used to soften the frame. "He wasn't just playing a spy," one gaffer said. "He was trying to see like one." Helen Mirren was the opposite. Veteran, regal, effortless. But on set, she was a storm of warmth and rebellion. "I don't do chairs," she announced on day one. "They make me lazy." She stood between scenes, often chatting with the youngest crew members, asking questions, offering bits of wisdom, or pulling out a worn paperback from her pocket. One day, she read poetry to Sasha between takes, Pasternak, translated from Russian. "You don't play sadness," she told her. "You hide it. That's when it hurts." The dynamic between Sasha and Mirren was one of mutual awe. Sasha, still green to the world of acting, studied Mirren closely, picking up her vocal rhythms, her way of entering a room with presence rather than volume. Mirren, in turn, was impressed by Sasha's control. "She doesn't blink unless she means to," she joked. But underneath the humor was deep respect. Their scenes crackled because their energy off-camera was grounded in something real. Two women, generations apart, finding common ground in power. The production itself was an international ballet of logistics and near-misses. As for the final line of the film, Anna's whispered, "I'm done playing," that wasn't in the original script. It was a post-production edition, recorded by Sasha in a single take inside a sound booth, late at night. Besson heard it during a routine ADR session and decided to overlay it as the final breath before the credits rolled. It was perfect. Because Anna was never about explosions or spectacle. It was about control. About masks. About what it costs to live a life built on pretending, and what it takes to walk away from it, free. And behind every perfectly angled shot, every bruising fight, every icy line of dialogue was a cast and crew working in sync like a spy team of their own. They didn't just make a movie. They crafted a persona. And somewhere between the shadows, the mirrors, and the music, that persona became real enough to walk away on its own. Just like Anna. Some films use setting as a backdrop, a canvas that fades as the characters take the stage. Others, like Anna, 2019, use setting as a silent accomplice. A mirror. A trap. A design that doesn't just frame the story, it shapes it. In Anna, every room holds a secret, every corner flickers with danger, and every city is more than just a place. It's a state of mind. The film's world is meticulously curated. Sleek, cold, unknowable. It's not a world you walk through. It's a world you watch. And watching in Anna is everything. From the first frame, the visual language tells us we're not being invited into this story, we're being allowed in. Briefly. Cautiously. Like Anna herself, the world she inhabits is closed, guarded, and always in control. We begin in the graying, decaying Soviet-era streets of Moscow. Not the romanticized snow globe Moscow of Hollywood fantasies, but the real thing. Cracked concrete, flickering neon signs, cold hallways bathed in shadows. It's a city heavy with history, and it presses down on Anna like a lead curtain. Her apartment is our first real stage, and it tells us everything without a single line of dialogue. Narrow walls, a bed pushed against the corner, a single window, grime-streaked, through which the dull light of morning struggles to enter. The sink drips. The wallpaper peels. The space isn't just lived in, it's endured. This is where Anna begins, and it's no accident that it feels like a cell. She wakes each day not to life, but to survival. And the camera knows it. It lingers in corners, keeps its distance, frames her through thresholds, as though it too is unsure if it should get closer. Then, suddenly, Paris. The shift is jarring in the best possible way. From gray to gold. From oppression to indulgence. Anna is transported to a world of lights, mirrors, opulence, and danger in high heels. Paris is fashion, performance, illusion. But even here, even in the city of lights, something remains off. Besson and cinematographer Thierry Arbogast shoot the fashion world not with celebration, but with scrutiny. Bright rooms feel cold. Cameras flash like surveillance. Mirrors multiply endlessly, fracturing identity and perspective. Anna moves through photo shoots like a mannequin with secrets. Her beauty, amplified by soft lighting and elegant costuming, becomes a mask. And the audience knows it. What's brilliant about the cinematography is its refusal to romanticize. In a lesser film, Paris would be a dream. Here, it's a blade wrapped in silk. Even the most glamorous locations, a penthouse overlooking the city, a marble-lined hotel room, a fashion runway, are treated with clinical detachment. Wide shots flatten depth. Reflections are used to disorient, not to admire. In one sequence, Anna walks down a hallway lined with mirrors on both sides, her image splitting and multiplying, until we can't tell which version of her is real. The metaphor isn't subtle, but it doesn't need to be. Anna is a film about masks, about roles, and the visuals double down on that theme relentlessly. One of the most iconic locations in the film is the KGB headquarters, a brutalist masterpiece of cement, steel, and silence. It is an institution carved out of shadow, with long hallways that hum with fluorescent light and interrogation rooms that feel more like surgical theaters. When Anna enters these rooms, the walls seem to close in. It's not just the literal architecture, it's the way the camera holds on doorways, letting her figure shrink in the frame. She is powerful, yes, but never safe. The walls are watching. The entire building feels like a lung that could exhale and crush her at any moment. Contrast that with Olga's office, Helen Mirren's domain. It's less threatening on the surface. Bookshelves. Soviet memorabilia. A tea set. But it's still a place of power. The warmth is a lie. The light is low, always yellowed, like it's passing through old tobacco-stained curtains. There are no windows. No clocks. No doors left open. Olga's office is timeless, in the most unsettling sense. It feels like it's been waiting for Anna long before she ever entered. Another standout set is the CIA black site. Where the KGB was shadow and pressure, the CIA is glass and surveillance. The walls are too clean. The floors too reflective. It's all clarity and angles, but no soul. The contrast is intentional. The CIA scenes are flooded with light, but they feel colder than anything in Moscow. That's the trick Anna plays with its visuals. It shows us that clarity isn't comfort. Sometimes it's a different kind of control. The restaurant where Anna performs one of her most violent missions is a triumph of visual contrast. Chandeliers glimmer. Silverware sparkles. The floor is polished to a mirror shine. And then violence erupts. The film never pulls back. Blood splashes against pristine tablecloths. Broken bodies fall between velvet booths. The contrast between beauty and brutality is so sharp it hurts. And that's the point. This isn't mindless violence. It's calculated chaos in a space designed to hide it. But perhaps the most important setting in the film isn't a place at all. It's the mirror. Mirrors are everywhere in Anna. They don't just reflect, they multiply. They fragment. They trap. Anna is constantly framed within mirrors, sometimes watching herself, sometimes hiding behind the gaze. One especially haunting shot shows her in a bathroom, staring into the mirror as blood drips from her hand. Behind her, nothing. No threat. No escape. Just the weight of what she's done. The reflection becomes more real than the moment itself. Because Anna lives in reflections. She exists in the performance. Scenes were shot across Moscow, Paris, Milan, and Prague, and each city brought its own flavor and its own chaos. In Moscow, a shoot scheduled at a historic metro station nearly derailed when the train system refused to pause operations for even a single take. So the crew had to time shots between the real arrivals and departures, capturing raw footage in under 90 seconds before the next train came roaring in. One shot, of Anna walking alone on the platform, her face half lit by flickering overheads, was a pure accident. The light flickered at the perfect moment. It stayed in the final cut. In Paris, during a high-end fashion shoot scene, real pedestrians mistook the film set for an actual shoot and began crowding in, taking photos. One tourist got so close that he wandered into the background of a take, snapping selfies. The director decided to keep the shot, cropped carefully, because the expression on Sasha's face in that moment was pure, unplanned Anna, controlled irritation behind a mask of calm. Prague proved to be the trickiest. A critical action sequence involving a motorcycle chase through narrow alleys had to be delayed for 2 full days due to rain. But the delay had a strange silver lining. During those 2 days, Sasha worked with the stunt team on an alternate ending for the chase, one where Anna disappears into a crowd instead of escaping on the bike. Besson loved it so much that he rewrote the scene entirely. It became one of the film's most tense moments, not with speed, but with stillness. A spy disappearing not in flames, but in footsteps. Not everything went smoothly, of course. There was the time a prop gun misfired and shattered a light, showering the set in sparks. No one was hurt, but the production paused while the safety crew swept the floor and reset the lights. Mirren, sipping tea, calmly quipped, "Well, that woke us up, didn't it?" And filming resumed. Or the day Sasha collapsed from exhaustion during a night shoot. She had been working non-stop for 18 hours, performing stunts, nailing emotional close-ups, then jumping straight into rewrites. She fainted mid-scene. Everyone froze. She came to 5 minutes later, insisted she was fine, and finished the day. But from that point on, the crew installed a Sasha clock. No shoot would go more than 14 hours without a mandatory rest break. It became an unspoken rule of care. There was joy, too, in unexpected places. Like the underground bunker scene, shot in an abandoned power station outside Prague. It was freezing. Dust hung in the air. The generator kept dying. The actors were bundled in coats between takes. Then one of the grips brought a portable speaker and played music during the resets. Back in the USSR, by the Beatles blasted through the cavernous space. Helen Mirren danced. Cillian Murphy air-guitared. Sasha twirled in combat boots. For a few minutes, it stopped being a film set and started being a moment. And then there was the final day of shooting. The last scene filmed wasn't the last scene in the movie. It was a quiet one. Just Anna sitting on a bench, watching pigeons scatter. No dialogue. Just presence. As the camera rolled, the pigeons refused to cooperate. They flew away before the shot began, then refused to return. The crew tried feeding them, calling them, playing bird sounds. Nothing worked. Then Sasha sat down, stilled her breathing, and waited. Within seconds, the pigeons came back. Gathered around her like they'd been choreographed. The camera rolled. No one said, "Cut." No one had to. That was Anna. A film built on silence, control, and the spaces between movement. a story about performance that was, behind the scenes, a masterclass in trust and intuition. The crew didn't just shoot scenes, they discovered them. The cast didn't just perform, they inhabited. And when it was over, they didn't throw a party. They didn't celebrate with champagne and speeches. They sat on the floor of the soundstage, wrapped in blankets and dimmed light, and watched a rough cut of the first 15 minutes. No dialogue. Just glances. Just shadow. Just Sasha becoming Anna. When the screen faded to black, no one clapped. They just sat there. Because sometimes, the best stories are the ones that leave you too stunned to speak. Some films speak in metaphors. Others wrap their meaning in silence. But Anna, 2019, does something different. It hides its themes in plain sight. It lets you think you're watching a glossy, high-stakes spy thriller, all stilettos and silencers, and then, just as the bullets start flying and the lies start stacking, it slips something under your skin. Something cold. Something intimate. And it stays with you long after the final shot fades. Because underneath its shifting timelines and ruthless fight sequences, Anna is about something far more human. Something painful. Something every frame seems to whisper, the cost of wearing a mask for too long. At its core, Anna is a story about control. Who has it, who wants it, and what it takes to steal it back. From the moment we meet Anna Poliatova, we see a woman constantly being shaped by others. A puppet in the hands of systems older and more ruthless than herself. The KGB molds her into a weapon. The CIA tries to turn her into leverage. Even the fashion industry uses her beauty as branding. And yet, despite every collar placed around her neck, Anna remains just out of reach, never truly owned, never truly broken. Her journey is not about vengeance. It's not even about justice. It's about reclamation. Reclaiming time. Reclaiming identity. Reclaiming the right to disappear on her own terms. That idea, identity as construction, sits at the heart of the film's structure. Anna doesn't just live multiple lives. She performs them. Seamlessly. Effortlessly. She shifts from street rat girlfriend to high-end model, from silent killer to coy informant, from seductress to soldier to ghost. But the brilliance of the storytelling lies in how each of these identities isn't just a lie, it's a necessity. Anna isn't pretending for pleasure. She's performing for survival. And each time the film rewinds the timeline or replays a scene from a new angle, it isn't just being clever. It's revealing another layer of who Anna had to be in that moment, and why. Critics might call it non-linear. But symbolically, it mirrors what it means to live a life where you never get to be just one thing. One of the most powerful themes tied to that idea is female autonomy within systems of power. Anna's story is, in many ways, a war on two fronts. Outwardly, she must survive the expectations and demands of the KGB and CIA, two institutions built by and for men, where women are often tools, not players. But inwardly, she's fighting something deeper, the erosion of her own will. Every mission, every seduction, every yes she's forced to say chips away at her sense of self. And yet, unlike so many spy thrillers that glamorize this kind of role, Anna never forgets to ask what that does to a person. What it does to a woman to be used and watched and never truly known. That watching, that surveillance, is more than just a plot point. It's a motif. A symbol. Anna is never alone in the film. Even when she is, we never feel that she is. There's always a camera. A handler. A set of eyes behind mirrored glass. She lives under constant observation, and that tension seeps into the cinematography. Wide shots that isolate her. Over-the-shoulder angles that feel invasive. Long takes that don't blink. This visual surveillance mirrors the thematic one. Anna is not just watched, she is evaluated. Judged. Appraised. Long takes that don't blink. This visual surveillance mirrors the thematic one. Anna is not just watched, she is evaluated. Judged. appraised. From the runway to the kill room, she is a product first, a person second. And what's most devastating is that she learns to weaponize that very dynamic. Anna becomes the most dangerous thing in the room not because she's physically strongest, but because she knows how to use the way she's seen against those doing the seeing. She dresses the part. She plays the lover, the daughter, the pawn. But behind every smile is calculation. That's what makes her terrifying. That's what makes her free, eventually. The theme of freedom versus illusion pulses like a heartbeat beneath every scene. Anna is told she will be free. 5 years of service, they promise her. Then she can go. Live. Choose. But the film carefully, ruthlessly shows us how freedom is always conditional for someone like Anna. When she tries to escape too soon, she's punished. When she follows orders too well, she's used even more. It's not just about breaking the rules, it's about realizing the rules were never made for her in the first place. In this way, the film plays with another thematic thread, trust as a currency. Anna's relationships are transactional. Her connection with Alex, her first handler and lover, feels real, until it doesn't. Her flirtation with Lenny, the CIA operative, offers moments of genuine tenderness, but even those are laced with strategy. Even Olga, the closest thing she has to a maternal figure, uses loyalty as leverage. In this world, love is just another negotiation. And Anna learns quickly that every act of trust she offers must serve a larger purpose. It's a devastating truth. But it's the truth that sets her free. These themes are mirrored in the film's most powerful symbol, the mirror itself. Mirrors appear constantly in Anna. In dressing rooms, hotel lobbies, interrogation chambers. But Anna rarely looks directly into them. When she does, it's not in admiration, it's in silence. A reckoning. A reminder. In one of the film's most haunting scenes, she stares into a mirror after a kill, blood on her cheek, hands shaking. She doesn't cry. She doesn't blink. She simply watches, as if trying to remember who she was before this. And perhaps that's the central tension in the film's symbolism, the gap between reflection and reality. Anna's reflection never quite matches who she is. Because who she is always changing, always hidden, always strategic. Her beauty is her armor. Her body is a weapon. Her silence is not absence, it's control. And then there's the use of color. Cold, steely blues dominate the KGB scenes, harsh, calculated, clinical. Anna wears grays, blacks, sharp lines. In Paris, the colors shift, soft golds, pale pinks, indulgent whites. But the warmth is deceptive. It's not comfort. It's camouflage. Only in the final act, when Anna begins to orchestrate her own escape, do we see a new palette, muted earth tones, the suggestion of balance. The colors tell us what she never does. They reveal the war she's fighting, and the one she's finally winning. One of the most elegant symbols in the film is the recurring chess motif, subtle but undeniable. Characters refer to strategy, to making moves, to being 2 steps ahead. But what's brilliant is that the film itself is structured like a chess game. The opening gambit, Anna as the pawn. The mid-game, her shifting alliances. And the endgame, when she turns the board and flips the kings on both sides. It's not just clever. It's character. Anna plays like a grandmaster not with brute force, but with patience, silence, and vision. That's what separates Anna from so many others in its genre. It's not just about a woman who kills. It's about a woman who sees what others miss, what others assume, what others underestimate. And every theme in the film, identity, freedom, surveillance, power, comes back to that core idea. Seeing. Being seen. Deciding what the world sees of you. In the final moments of the film, when Anna walks into the crowd and disappears, there's no grand music swell. No triumphant declaration. Just silence. space. And for the first time, she's not being watched. Not framed. Not mirrored. She just is. And that, more than any kill or twist or stylish shot, is the film's most powerful statement. Anna was never about escape. It was about emergence. And the moment she stopped performing, she became something no system could contain. Real. Unbound. Unseen. And finally, free. Not every film demands to be seen twice. But Anna, 2019, isn't just built to be watched, it's built to be rewatched, dissected, and noticed differently each time. Because what Luc Besson created with this cold, coiled thriller isn't just a story about espionage and betrayal. It's a cinematic sleight of hand. A visual riddle. A masterclass in how form can echo function, and how filmmaking techniques, when used with ruthless precision, can shape mood, manipulate perception, and transform something familiar into something slippery and strange. It's not just what the story tells you. It's how it's told that makes it unforgettable. Right from the first frame, the visual style of Anna establishes its own rules. The world isn't soft. It isn't lived in. It's curated, composed, controlled, which is exactly the point. Because the film's aesthetic mirrors its protagonist, polished on the surface, hiding chaos beneath. The camera doesn't chase Anna. It studies her. It moves with her, but never too fast. Never too loose. It glides when she glides. It stills when she stills. Every shot is a reflection of her state of mind. Thierry Arbogast, Besson's longtime cinematographer, brings his signature blend of clarity and claustrophobia to the lens. He uses wide frames to isolate Anna in elegant spaces, hotel rooms, marble halls, fashion studios, and then slowly draws the frame tighter as her control begins to slip. The sense of surveillance is constant. The camera doesn't feel like a passive observer. It feels like another character in the room, watching her choices, her silences, her lies. But it's not just how the film is shot, it's how it's cut that changes everything. Anna doesn't unfold in a straight line. The timeline is chopped, rearranged, wound. We see a mission completed, then flash back to discover what really happened behind it. We watch a seduction, then loop backward to learn it was a setup. This non-linear storytelling isn't just a stylistic flourish. It's thematic. It mirrors Anna's duplicity, her layered personas, her fractured truth. Just as the audience begins to trust what they're seeing, the film rewinds and says, "Look again." That structural technique is what makes the story feel like a game. A chess match. Not between characters, but between the film and the audience. Besson and editor Julian Ray use misdirection like a weapon. Key scenes are cut just before the emotional payoff, only to return later with new context. It's a constant push and pull, where every emotional beat is recontextualized, every choice reframed. The editing doesn't serve the plot, it becomes the plot. And by the time the final act clicks into place, you're left with a mosaic, not a map. One of the most striking uses of editing appears in the infamous layered timeline, twist halfway through the film. We watch Anna execute a mission. We feel the tension. We believe the stakes. But then the film snaps back, reveals parallel scenes playing out behind closed doors, and reshapes everything we thought we knew. We watch Anna execute a mission. We feel the tension. We believe the stakes. But then the film snaps back, reveals parallel scenes playing out behind closed doors, and reshapes everything we thought we knew. It's a technique that requires mathematical precision. Each shot must be perfectly mirrored, each cue delicately timed. The result? An audience that doesn't just watch, but participates. We aren't told what's true. We're asked to figure it out. This manipulation extends to sound design as well. Anna doesn't rely on a bombastic score. Instead, it thrives in absence. Silence is its own form of tension. During interrogation scenes, you can hear the hum of the overhead lights. In a fashion show sequence, the camera zooms in while the sound drowns out, just the sound of heels on tile, over and over. The use of ambient noise grounds the film in realism while heightening the unease. You don't feel like you're watching action. You feel like you're inside the room, holding your breath. When music does arrive, it's sparse. Electronic pulses. Strings that never quite resolve. Composer Eric Serra uses repetition and dissonance to mirror Anna's internal conflict. Themes are introduced early, subtle piano motifs, muted synth textures, and return in distorted form during key turning points. It's not a score you hum after the credits. It's a score that haunts you because you barely noticed it was there until it tightened around you like a noose. Lighting, too, plays a role in shaping the emotional temperature of the film. Scenes in Moscow are lit harshly, overhead fluorescence, pale daylight, long shadows. It feels clinical, oppressive. Anna's early life is bathed in this palette, washed-out grays, sickly yellows. But as she enters the world of modeling and espionage, the color scheme shifts. Paris is glossier, rich reds, icy blues, soft golds. But the light never feels warm. It's always too perfect, too intentional. Like the set of a dream she doesn't believe she's allowed to live in. One of the most interesting techniques used throughout the film is the concept of emotional lighting. Light that changes based on psychological state, not realism. In one hotel room scene, Anna's face is lit by soft lamplight. But as the conversation darkens, the shadows on her face slowly deepen, subtly, imperceptibly, until half of her expression is consumed. No one moved the light. It was a gradual shift, timed to the rhythm of the dialogue. A visual embodiment of internal collapse. Even set design leans into the thematic mechanics. Rooms are often too clean, too symmetrical. Anna lives in spaces that feel staged. Her apartment in Paris looks like a showroom. White walls, designer chairs, no personal clutter. Not because she's neat, but because she doesn't truly live there. She exists there. Each location reinforces that sense of dislocation. CIA offices are all glass and angles, transparent but still impenetrable. KGB corridors are endless and narrow, swallowing her whole. The architecture tells the story before a single line is spoken. The action, when it erupts, is brutal and balletic. Besson doesn't use shaky cam or rapid-fire edits. He lets the camera breathe. Fight scenes are choreographed like dances, long takes, clear movements, elegant violence. Sasha Luss, performing the majority of her stunts herself, moves like a predator. Swift, silent, efficient. Her physicality is precise, almost mechanical. There's no flourish, no excess, just movement with purpose. Each punch, each kill, serves a function, not to entertain, but to survive. One of the film's most praised sequences is the restaurant massacre. Clocked at nearly 5 minutes of sustained tension, it begins in stillness. Anna sits, waiting. The music is minimal. The camera circles her slowly. When violence explodes, it does so with jarring clarity. Plates crash. Silverware becomes a weapon. The camera never cuts away. We're forced to watch every moment, every breath. The editing, the sound, the lighting, all collaborate to immerse us completely. It's not spectacle. It's immersion. And it's unforgettable. Even makeup and wardrobe become tools of storytelling. Anna's looks are meticulously curated, not just for style, but for subtext. When she's under KGB control, she wears dark, sharp-cut clothing, imposing, calculated. When seducing a target, she softens, pastels, silk, vulnerability coded into fabric. But in the final scenes, she wears something different. Muted colors, practical cuts. She's no longer performing. Her wardrobe is no longer a costume. It's just her. And that quiet shift, that removal of artifice, is perhaps the film's most profound visual trick. Because Anna is a film about performance. And the filmmaking performs alongside her. So when it all ends, not with a bang, but with a slow walk into anonymity, the filmmaking itself steps back. The camera doesn't follow. The music doesn't rise. The frame doesn't tighten. It holds, watches, and lets her go. It's the perfect punctuation mark for a film so focused on control. But Anna didn't just impress with technique, it carried its weight at the box office, too. Released modestly, without the blitz of major marketing, the film surprised many with its steady performance across international markets. It resonated especially well in Europe and Asia, where audiences embraced its blend of style and suspense. Word of mouth fueled limited theatrical runs, and its popularity spiked once it hit streaming platforms. Viewers drawn in by the poster stayed for the twists, and returned for the craftsmanship. Critics were divided, yes. Some dismissed it as style over substance. But others looked closer, saw the structural risks, the thematic layers, the technical discipline. And audiences? They knew. They watched it once, then again. And somewhere between the rewinds, they realized this wasn't just another assassin film. It was a film that watched you watching it, and then left you wondering if you ever truly saw it at all. Some casts carry a film with the sheer force of talent. Others become the film, their every movement stitched into its DNA, their silences as loud as any explosion. Anna, 2019, had that second kind of cast, a team that didn't just show up, red lines, hit marks. They disappeared into the shadows of a story built on masks, mirrors, and manipulation. And as the film unfolded in its cold, razor-edged rhythm, you could feel that chemistry in every glance, every misdirected smile, every quiet betrayal. This wasn't about flashy monologues or grandstanding. This was about control, about presence, about actors who knew the power of restraint and played every frame like a tightly pulled string. At the center of it all stood Sasha Luss, in her first major acting role. She wasn't an actress by trade. She didn't arrive with years of film school or a trophy shelf full of awards. What she brought instead was something more elusive, a face you couldn't stop watching, and a stillness that made every blink feel dangerous. Cast as Anna, a Russian model turned KGB assassin, Sasha had to do more than act. She had to embody contradiction, innocence and lethality, openness and opacity. And she did it with a precision that surprised nearly everyone, including herself.